Yo, it's your boy GT here from the Gangster Times. Please like, comment, and subscribe to my channel. Also, hit me up on Instagram, which is gangstertimes_official, and on my Snapchat, type in the search box Gangster Times. Guys, just before I begin this next video, I've come across a channel, and you know me, if I see something and I feel as though it's going to be beneficial to all the people that view my channel, then I'll always recommend it. And a couple of days ago, I came across this channel called Kicking Up Dust Media. So I'll put the link to the video that I actually watched in the link in the description below. So go check it out. And the lad who's running this channel seems to have lived a different life 10-15 years ago. It seems like he's been in prison and now he's come out and he's reformed himself. And he's speaking to the youngsters actually about the dangers of gang culture, the dangers of getting involved in drugs, the dangers of using weapons in situations, the realities of going to prison and living that prison life and all that kind of stuff. But there's one video which really caught my eye, which was, what type of money do drug dealers make? So that's the one I'll put in the link in the description below. And one of the things that he actually talks about in the video took me right back. So I don't know who this lad is or where he's from, but he talks about how much dealers really make. He talks about what the profit margins are and whether it's lucrative or not. But one thing in these videos that stood out for me was when he spoke about if one consignment goes missing. So you need to go watch it. I don't want to spoil it for you, but you need to go and watch it and listen to what he says, because it took me back to a situation where I had a pal years ago, took his own life, God rest his soul, and took his life all due to the fact that a consignment that he had went missing. He couldn't deal with it. He ended up taking his own life. But it didn't stop there, because the debt automatically got passed on to his family, and in the end his family had to pay off that debt. So not only did they have to deal with the loss of a loved one, but they also had to pay off a debt. And these are the kind of things that you don't actually hear about. All you hear about is all the wins, how much money they're making, what cars they're driving, what clothes they're wearing. But you don't hear about, so let's just say you're buying a key for 38 grand. You buy 10 keys, £380,000. You're selling it on 40 grand a key. So potentially you can make £400,000. If you lose one key, you're already in debt. Even if you manage to sell the rest of your 9 key at 40k, that's £360,000. But you went and bought it for £380,000. And that's the side that you don't see. Once again, I recommend you guys go watch his channel, and in the comments let him know that GT sent you, because he don't know I'm doing this. Anyway guys, on to the next story. A submachine gun and more than £220,000 in cash have been uncovered following a traffic stop in London. Azeem Ahktar, who's 29, was sentenced to 8 years behind bars on Friday after police found a bag containing a large amount of heroin in his car last year. The Met Police had been patrolling Chapter Road in Brent last November when they stopped Akhtar's vehicle. After discovering the heroin, a follow-up search at his nearby home unearthed a Scorpion submachine gun and 94 rounds of ammunition. Police also discovered £221,000 worth of cash hidden inside shoeboxes alongside cocaine, crack cocaine and cannabis. Detective Constable Ash Harkin from the Met's Violent Crime Task Force said, "What started off as a proactive vehicle stop ended up leading us to a loaded firearm and many rounds of ammunition. And the stark reality is that every bullet we seize could be a life saved." We know that drugs not only cause misery to communities, but also drive a high proportion of violence we see on the streets, and we will continue to relentlessly pursue those who supply them in the capital. The investigation involved various teams, with the VCTF working together to bring Akhtar to justice. Reducing violence remains our top priority, and officers are out across London daily removing dangerous weapons and targeting the drivers of violent crime. Akhtar was convicted at Harrow Crown Court after pleading guilty to possession of a firearm, ammunition, drugs with intent to supply, amongst other charges. 2 of the men were arrested during the same vehicle stop and were released under investigation. 2 brothers helped to torture and kill a grandfather, including waterboarding him with diesel. Michael and Daniel Smith pounced on Colin MacDonald as he lay in bed at his home in Airdrie on August the 19th, 2019. Along with an accomplice, the duo dragged the 59-year-old into the boot of the car, threatened him with a shotgun and brutally battered him. Mr. MacDonald was also soaked with the fuel before being dumped in his t-shirts and boxer shorts outside a friend's house 4 miles away in Green Gares. The victim, who had severe hypothermia as a result of the drenching, was taken to hospital, but he never recovered. So just want to say rest in peace, Colin McDonald, and my condolences go out to your family. He was able to identify, however, one of the men, Michael Smith, who was nicknamed Menace, as one of the assailants before his death. So today, Michael Smith was convicted of murder, while his younger sibling was found guilty of the reduced charge of culpable homicide, and both are going to be sentenced next month. Jurors at the High Court in Glasgow heard how the men struck around 12:30 at night. Mr. McDonald was in bed when the trio bust in and were immediately on top of him. After the attack, he was then hauled out of a Vauxhall Astra and thrown injured onto the street where his friend Wahid Khan lived. Mr. McDonald was hurt so badly, Wahid did not initially recognise him. The witness recalled, "I thought he was dead at that point. He was not moving." He and others rushed Mr. McDonald to hospital. It was there, despite his critical condition, that Dad was able to recall to his 3 children what had happened. He told his son how it was Menace and 2 other people who had turned up. He said Mr. McDonald said he had a shotgun put to his head. In a speech to jurors, prosecutor Murdoch McTaggart said John said his father mentioned they had poured fluid on him, like waterboarding, trying to drown him. His father had said it was diesel. He was in pain, but he knew what he was saying. The victim's other son, James, said of his dad spoke of choking as the fuel was doused over him. The witness told jurors he said they were asking him questions, but he told them he could not help them about what they wanted to know. They kept asking, did he know where the powder was? Mr. McDonald also stated they had done him this time. The victim said to his son, "It was Menace again. I do not think I will make it." And his daughter remembers the very strong stench of diesel from her dad. She stated, he said they had tortured him and dropped him off at Wahid Khan's house. They had him drink something. Mr. McDonald had earlier arrived at hospital around 45 minutes after being hauled from his bed, still soaked in diesel and suffering from hypothermia. He eventually passed away due to multi-organ failure and chest injuries, some only seen in those who have been in car crashes or fallen from a height. Prosecutors said Mr. McDonald was hit with a shovel and abducted from his home. He was then bundled into a boot and the gun brandished at him. The charge also included him being punched, kicked and stamped upon, as well as being forced to ingest diesel. Mr. McTaggart went on to tell the jurors what happened to him happened at the hands of Michael and Daniel Smith, and forensic evidence also linked the brothers to the crime. Lord Beckett deferred sentencing until July the 28th in Edinburgh and remanded both men in custody. So real sad news there coming out of Scotland, where it's believed 2 brothers helped to torture and kill a grandfather. Once again, I just want to say rest in peace, Colin McDonald, and my condolences go out to your family. It's your boy GT. Keep it locked, keep it real.